now time to take a look at the latest political happenings in the country on the way it is. And we start off with the unveiling of the BBI report appears to have set a stage for high-voltage politics ahead of the 2022 general elections. And now the Orange Democratic Movement, ODM party, wants the country to adopt a parliamentary system of government with a powerful prime minister and 2 deputies. And while a host of leaders are pushing for a referendum, Deputy President William Ruto is vehemently opposing that route, which he claims is a scheme for some people to cling to power. Our Western Region reporter Willie Lusige now reports.
It was in Bondo, Siaya County, the backyard of ODM leader Raila Odinga, where leaders who converged at Jaramogi Oginga Secondary School strongly backed Raila's path that the Building Bridges initiative proposals should precipitate into a referendum.
BBI after amendments, saa 6 ya mchana itakuwa hiyo referendum imepita na mambo hiyo imekwisha. Take it to the bank.
Na sasa wananchi wamesema wamechukua mamlaka, mambo ya katiba ni wananchi ndio watapitisha. Ama mnataka wabunge ndio wapitishe?
Raila's party now wants the country to have a powerful prime minister, a move away from the current presidential system.
Tunataka tuwe na prime minister ambaye ana nguvu na pia awe na madeputy wawili.
Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka and other leaders speaking in Western also supporting calls for referendum.
Kura ya maoni ndio pengine wengi wanaona hiyo inajumuisha kila mtu. Na kwa hiyo kusiwe na mabishano.
Most opposition-leaning leaders are against a parliamentary initiative, arguing that the people must have their say.
Na katiba yetu inatupa nafasi kama ni njia ya referendum, kama ni njia ya kwenda kupitia bunge ama popular vote, kwa kipengee cha 255 cha katiba yetu tunapewa nafasi.
Na sisi tukisema mambo ya referendum wanasema kwamba uchumi haina pesa. Mimi nataka kuuliza, ile pesa bilioni 60 ambayo ilitumika ikaibwa kule Kimarel, hiyo haikuwa pesa?
But Deputy President William Ruto is accusing some leaders of using a BBI referendum as a scheme to get to power.
Mimi nimesoma report, sioni mahali ambayo inahitaji kura ya maoni.
Sasa mimi nataka Raila aambie wa Kenya kinagaubaga ya kwamba ile BBI ile yote alikuwa ana matarajio yote amekosa, na lazima akubali ya kwamba amepigwa chenga.
Willie Lusige, KTN News.
Well, interesting. The debate continues on the BBI even after the report comes out. Now just taking a look at the details and still differing over what we prefer depending on our political affiliation. Well, when I say our, I mean the political leaders. Anyway, now just a reminder of the guests that are with us today. We have Ambrose Swede, who's a lawyer. We have Joe Mutambo, who's former member of parliament for Mwingi. We have Martin Owino, who's the member of parliament for Ndhiwa, as well as Stella Agara, who is a political analyst. Welcome to the show. Now, the BBI has been the talk of the town. Politics has reigned over everything. That's what we've been talking about for the past few hours. Now the report came out, and now we're looking at the details. And one of the big bone of contention is the Prime Minister, and is the one that has been proposed by the BBI powerful enough, or is he just going to be singing to the tune of the executive because he's going to be hired and basically fired by the executive? What do you feel about this argument, Mr. Weda?
Thank you so much. I think, first of all, let's get this very clearly. It is not what the Speaker of the National Assembly says. It is not what Honorable Raila and his brigade says about the referendum.
Yes.
The test is which part of the Constitution do you want to amend? There are parts that can be amended in Parliament. You don't need a referendum. There are parts, if you are going to touch, you must do a referendum. Whether the referendum is processed through Parliament or processed through popular initiative like the one by Dr. Ekuru Akwot.
Yes.
So it depends. And I can tell you this, if you are going to do anything that interferes with the counties, positively or negatively, you have to go for a referendum. Whether it is processed through parliament or processed through popular initiative. If you are going to tinker with the power structure, political power structure, the build-up, again, you have to go through a referendum. So this gerrymandering and sub-rattling that people go to Bondo, I see Honorable Rengo going there and say, this is what we want, this is not what we want. Yet he knows very well that it depends with what you want to amend. That is number one. So Wananchi, get this clear. If you are going to deal with the devolution funds, back to more funds to the counties and so on, then there will be a referendum, whether it is processed through parliament as a bill or through popular initiative through the counties. Get that clear.
Now,
yes.
just to point out something that some of the politicians are talking about. They say that going to a referendum will cost so much, so we should just go to parliament. Is that an invalid argument?
That is, I'll call it voodoo argument by people who are bent on misleading one another.
Yeah.
It only depends on which clause, which article do you want to interfere with. The Constitution has said these articles can be amended in Parliament. These articles, you must go for a referendum.
Right.
You can go for a referendum through popular initiative, collecting signatures, 1 million signatures, or Parliament itself can process the bill, they pass it, then it goes to a referendum. That is the way. So either way, there must be a referendum. When these people are saying there is no money, then they are saying there will be no referendum and therefore there will be no constitutional amendment. Secondly, there are people who are talking about powerful prime minister. At least it is not in the BBI. So people like those who go to Bondo and then they start cheating people that there will be a parliamentary system. It is not in the BBI unless they bring Part B, the BBIB, that has not been released, where now there's this powerful prime minister who is in charge of government. The way the MPs are being auctioned in parliament, in toilet, we cannot trust them with administration. We'd rather have our president, who is a thief. I'm not saying that President Ruto, we'd rather have one who is bad, but we have elected him, than one who buys his way to leadership in parliament, kidogo in the toilet, then he leads and lords it over us. We will not allow that. That one, get very clear, you people who are saying powerful prime minister. I'm one of you especially because you see this powerful thing is coming from lowland. So when you say, hey, I don't like this, they say, not with us, you are this. We are saying that unless we are going to give birth to new MPs, the ones in our loins, the current ones, from the young people, including myself, we can't be trusted with serious political power being given through parliament because we will be auctioned, nada, and that we refuse. Honorable Raila, if you want to be president, and you have a big chance, get down moving, and then come 2020, you stand, and if you win, you take power. But going around through BBI, and then, you want to put people who have no idea. People are going down River Tana in the floods. They have no idea. They are discussing BBI. We can't trust serious power to their hand. Please get that clear.
Honorable, what's your take on this? The powerful prime minister with 2 deputies is what some are proposing.
So where they have a phobia with the MPs. Yeah, let me say this on the onset. First of all, Kenyans should examine themselves and let that BBI work within you. For example, we need to bridge between self and nationalism. We need to bridge between greed and things that are going to help people who are not in our position.
Right.
So that honesty, that genuineness need to start with us. The BBI which has been released is not a closed document. In fact, it's a start of the conversation. And those who are asking for executive prime minister, they are within their right. Because this will go on until it is a time that now we have a document which we can now vote on. Now, there are 2 paths to do that. One is Article 256, that is which gives the parliamentary pathway. But not many people know that even within that Article 256 of our Constitution is parliamentary driven, yes. But if an introduction is made, as he says in those that test the supremacy of presidency and all that, that needs referendum, that the president cannot even assent. It will have to still go
back
to the referendum. And those who are claiming for parliamentary now, they are the people who rejected even BBI before they could even read it. Parliamentary is not the pathway because we have 3 things that have stalled. First of all, the gender. It could not go through. You cannot get any 2/3. We wanted not to remove the cap for borrowing.
Yeah.
That also failed.
What do you think ails our parliamentarians? We're unable even to marshal the...
Not nada.
Yes.
Not nada. They are very, very sober people there. We are talking of a system here. And this is a serious thing. Because I'm from a school where a shortcut can be very expensive.
Yeah.
Especially those who are saying it's going to take a lot of money and then we need to take this route. No. Those people knows very well if this takes the parliamentary route, that document is going to die.
Yeah.
It's not going to go anywhere.
So is that the ulterior motive, basically?
Exactly. And I'm so sad because, you know, this is a creation of our president and Raila, yes. But our presidents happen to be the boss of the deputy president. So we have insubordination here. You know, when there's a guy called Mr. Green who authored the 48 laws
of power.
He says one thing which is very important, that if you want to lead, don't try to outshine your boss. And don't try to be emotional. You know, now, this Tanga group, they are being tagged as very angry people.
Yeah.
And you saw more comment when we were... Junet just tweaked it a little bit, and then they all hunger. One of the qualities of a leader is to have emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
And that is why we want people to go down, read it, and converse. If it is a closed document, there's no need of people telling you to go and read it. For what?
Yes.
So this is out there for people to read it so that they can make an opinion. There will be amendment. Even if it comes to parliament, there will be amendment that might invoke those areas that need referendum. So the parliamentary way is not outright that is going to be passed that way. No. So what I'm saying is this. One, we are happy with it because we can now converse in a peaceful atmosphere. Before March 9, it was chaotic. Economy was nowhere. And people were fighting.
This is true.
Now we can talk without being fought for anything else. But I think, in my honest opinion, let's take this machinani, as the president said. I like that. Let people have conversation. What they want to change, let it be changed in an amicable way. And let's have a new chapter where we can trust each other. And the power to drive all this is honesty, integrity, as we got it from the foreign minister for Tanzania. Kenyans are very, you know, they can make noise like weather here. But at the end of the day, at another corner, there's another noise which they didn't make on the spotlight. But this is a good thing for Kenyans. Let's back it up.
Okay. Ms. Agara, do you support this push for a powerful prime minister and 2 deputies? And what is also your take on whether this should be done at the Mwananchi level, as is what most of the panelists are hoping for, as opposed to in parliament?
Let me first of all start with the second question. I read a lot of insincerity amongst the politicians. This report was just recently unleashed. We haven't had sufficient time as citizens to go through this report, and they're already polarizing the conversation about whether or not the decision should be made in parliament or outside of that space. Why I'm saying they're being insincere is because my reading of the report, and I've read the whole report, is that it does not make the specific recommendations on how the recommendations are going to be implemented. For this reason, if we do not know how they're going to be implemented or what needs to change for some of the changes to be implemented, we are not yet sure whether we will need a referendum or not. So we need to do an analysis of some of the changes we need to make, and I agree with Bwana Owino that there are specific recommendations that could already look like we may actually need a referendum to make changes on them. Instead of having a conversation of where they would prefer to have this conversation, we should be having a conversation of what is beneficial for Kenyans in that report, how can we get it done, and then the decision of how we'll get it done should then determine whether we go for a referendum or whether we decide to do it through a parliamentary process. And the likelihood for me is that we'll actually go for a referendum.
Right.
Now, having said that, I think we should also be very careful with the parliamentarians, and this is where I agree with Weda. We should be very careful with these people. You cannot give a parliament that has refused to deliver on the two-thirds gender principle the responsibility of delivering a report that is going to deliver change for Kenyans. You cannot give to a parliament that is attempting to reduce the powers of a National Youth Council the responsibility to give Kenyans the power to actually make decisions about their prosperity.
Right.
I am saying that the changes that Kenyans want for them to live a better life in this country, for them to have sustainable livelihoods, are changes that could have been done by this parliament or the previous ones if they were serious about taking care of Kenyans. I suggest that this conversation be left to Kenyans, whatever decision Kenyans are going to make after they read, after they've interacted with the report and made their own recommendations, that is the decision that should stand. Politicians are so spoiled. They are so used to having their way that they can't even fathom the possibility of Kenyans actually speaking for themselves. But once in a while, I think we need to remind them that even the power that they exercise in parliament is power that they're exercising on behalf of citizens. Concerning this powerful prime minister, I think if you ask me as Stella Gara, assuming I'm not thinking of anybody else occupying that position, and I'm thinking about me occupying that position, one of the things I would want to have, for example, is autonomy and the ability to perform that role without being influenced by other people in government. That then would enhance my ability to do my job and discharge my duty effectively.
Right.
So since the entire package of being the head of government business is being lifted and being given to the prime minister or being assigned to the prime minister, personally I would go for a powerful prime minister, a prime minister who doesn't dance to the whims of the president or anybody at all. As it is now, the prime minister is going to be appointed by the president amongst some of the popular candidates, and then eventually endorsed by parliament. And for me, the only question I would be asking myself now is, once this person is endorsed by parliament, would they be, for example, indebted to parliament and start being manipulated, like we have seen SRC being harassed by the National Assembly when they try to deal with their salaries? If this person is appointed by the president, would they be able to challenge the president on programs that are going to be wasteful, for example, for this country, that are great wishes for the president, but then eventually may not necessarily be beneficial to the country? Those are the questions we should be asking ourselves. So for me, I would go for a powerful prime minister. I would go for this prime minister being probably the person who's garnered the second most votes in the election, so that we address the real problem against which we have made the recommendation to introduce a prime minister.
Now, one would argue that the prime minister, as has been proposed in this current document, can be balanced off by the existence of the leader of opposition, who can put checks and balances or hold the parliament to account, even the executive. What do you think about that?
That's a great proposal as far as I'm concerned. But my concern is you do not want to have a prime minister who you'd be leveling the same accusations to as the president. You understand? I need, for me, checks and balances is about ensuring that there's separation of roles completely and independence and autonomy in the exercise of those duties. So the leader of opposition is definitely going to be checking the prime minister. And from the reading I'm getting from this report, that position is actually intended for that specific purpose and to deal with tyranny of numbers in parliament. However, that this person is going to be checking the prime minister means then that they're checking the prime minister and the president, because they're both coming from the executive. My concern is I don't need a prime minister if I'm going to be having a prime minister who's going to be just doing the bid of the president. You know, so just getting a balance of those then would address the issues.
Gotcha. Honorable Mutambo, what's your take on this argument, debate rather?
You know, Kenyans never cease to amaze me.
How so?
Because I don't know whether Kenyans really know what they want. I'm saying this because I was the first person to introduce amendment of the constitution in this country.
Yes.
Nobody talks about it. The second one was a Kuro court.
Yes.
And the third one now is Raila and Uhuru. There have been 3 attempts of amendment of the constitution in this country. It is in the record. The rest used to speak in funerals and what have you.
Rallies.
It is the same Kenyans who sing every day that we do not want a powerful president. And here we are saying we want a powerful prime minister. You take these powers from one individual which you are saying you don't want them vested on that individual or in that office to give to another office. You don't understand. I really don't understand. Because if we categorically say we do not want a powerful president, we have to remove these powers from the president. So you are removing them from president and give them to prime minister. What have you done? I don't understand.
From the same party, so basically they would be reading from the same script.
Correct. I get mesmerized when I hear people talk about BBI so loudly. And nobody has ever come up with any proposal. These are proposals from two gentlemen. These are ideas born by two people. Okay? Kina Weda and the rest were just making noise elsewhere, and they never came up with any single proposal. I'm proudly saying that I dared to come up with proposals to amend the Constitution. And once somebody places something on the table, it is now time for everyone to put their mouth. No, I don't want this, I don't want that, I want this. Where were you? Why did you come up with any suggestion? We never got. And the people who came up with this solution or these proposals, they are telling us, this is what we are thinking. And because we believe that we are not more Kenyans than any other, we want to give it to even that Mama Boga to think through. Okay? We are being told that everyone must read. And it is them actually who are telling us that don't say word as read, that everyone now has read it.
Yes.
Okay? We have not seen copies of this BBI report. We only saw what was launched. Okay? And the people are happening everywhere. This BBI, this, BBI, that. Why can't we first go step by step? We see duplication of this BBI report. We see ships being paraded, given the copies to give to the people who can read to their... Because my grandma don't know how to read, she needs somebody to read for her, right? I have not seen that. I have not seen barazas. I have not seen civic education for this BBI. And people are still now casting aspersions that this is not a right document. Why is it not a right document? It is not right for whether the Mutambo and the Mheshimiwa here. It should be not right for all Kenyans. Let Kenyans be told what is contained in that BBI. For us to sit here and say, no, we want a powerful prime minister, we want that. There are aspects, yes, which we are pointing out. We are saying that it may be not good to send it to Parliament to pass, because Article 256, which members of Parliament are claiming, it also has its limitation. You cannot use Article 256 to touch on boundaries, to touch on executive, to touch on so many other matters. There are issues which you can pass in the Parliament and others which cannot be passed in the Parliament. And those are in the Constitution which we are enjoying today. So if we are negating the Constitution we have, you cannot make two wrongs never make a right. You cannot say we are going to negate this Constitution which we are using because the members of our Parliament are password to that same Constitution. Then you say this one is useless, we are going to make ours. I don't think we are being honest and sincere to ourselves. So what we need to be sober when we are discussing this BBI. We need to think through the minds of the people who came up with the proposals. We have not gotten that chance yet. What happened, it was just been launched at Bomas on Friday, and everybody is now running across the country saying, no, this is that, this is that. Why can't we get the copies first? Let us read to our mothers who have got no knowledge of reading them through the WhatsApp groups or through the online. Let us read it to those people who need to be told, because the Constitution is not for Mheshimiwa Mutambo, it's not for Weda, it's not for Raila, it's for all Kenyans. Let this document reach the Kenyans. But what we are doing today, we are taking every opportunity we get to punch or to poke holes into this document. Yet, we have not come up with our own ideas. I dare ask those who are making noise to come up with a proposal like Mutambo did. because I did take it to parliament, like Ekuru did. Those are people I can respect in this country, like Raila and Uhuru has done. These guys have done zero, and then they are just making noise of somebody's document, which is not fair.
Mr. Weda,
you see, you know, you can be sent, then you go on frolics of your own. The people of Mwingi Central did not send him to go and amend the constitution. He went into other things. What did they do? They said, get out. We didn't send President Uhuru to State House to amend the constitution. We sent him to bring out quality, affordable healthcare.
Right.
Jobs, food. Those are what we agreed, 4 agenda items. This florix has been introduced by Jacom himself with Raila. Then they say we need peace, we need to create seats for other people. We have no problem with that. But as water is sweeping people down the ocean, that needs to be addressed fast. I always say all things we require, we need them, but order or priority. So going to parliament or trying to amend the constitution is not an achievement. In fact, it is getting the priorities wrong and then letting the people of Kenya continue to suffer. 2, some of us are master readers. A document as small as BBI, you read in 2 hours. But some of you, I know you are just used to reading newspapers. You need a year to read anything, 200 pages. So we immediately, the report came out, and it was in soft copy all over. We read it quickly, and there are very good things. For instance, the National Health Commission, so that the doctors, the nurses are employed at a central place like the TAC. Because now it is in shambles. That's very good. We are talking about more money to the counties. Very good. But we don't need to sit and read and say, oh, you have to bring yours. Why do I bring mine and I don't have the state resources? These people are given 10 billion to do this. And they spent it around dancing all over. And they have come with this report. Now we are discussing. You say, let's read and discuss. Who is taking notes? The committee has finished its work. If we are going to make suggestions, there must be somebody saying, okay, I'm hearing you.
Right, at what level?
I'm recording it so that we'll again collate it and then say, these are the views. Nobody's collecting views.
That's
now.
Very important.
People have just been told, debate it so that you amuse yourself and you feel happy that we are debating BBI. Then eventually there's nothing. These people, when they were to collect the views, they went into hotels, they went into hiding. It's not that the Wanjiku you are talking about, the Achieng or the Naliaka had gone to Britain. They were here, but these same people hid from them because they wanted a secret document, which has now come. It has come with some very good things, I agree. Some are difficult, are strange. Some are not even there. Like a powerful prime minister is not in that document. Let me tell Kenyans, especially my fellow Luz, that powerful prime minister is not in the BBI report. So if somebody is selling it in the village, it is not. The one which is there is the president remains the head of state and commander-in-chief. He controls state power, all of it. Then you will get some loud person, maybe Mheshimiwa here, says you will be prime minister. Then deputy. Then people who have lost elections, they'll also go to parliament as leaders of majority, so that they don't make noise. If they make noise, they are told go and say it in parliament. Don't go through the streets. Otherwise, the fundamental issues that are affecting the ordinary Mwananchi that Mheshimiwa here needs to address is still not yet addressed. And you do not need a constitution to address them. You do not need, the constitution does not steal money. The constitution does not grow food. The constitution does not protect the rains from sweeping people downstream. It is management. And that management, we are saying we should go back to parliament today and ensure that things work.
I think if we let one that speaks so loudly, it may mislead Kenyans. A country is led by a set of law. You cannot lead or govern a country without a set of law. The same set of law has got his own merits of making it. And every Kenyan, whether elected or not elected, has got a right to propose amendment to the Constitution. For president to be appointed or to be elected as a president does not mean the right of amending the Constitution for him to propose amendment of Constitution has been taken away. When I was elected as a member of parliament, I was not told that you should not amend the constitution. No, that right was not taken away from me as a member of parliament. I have every right. Even this honorable member sitting here, he has a right to propose. What we are having in front of us is a proposal. It's not a law. Don't tell your Luo people that that powerful prime minister is not in the BBI. That is not casted on a stone. It is BBI is not a law. It's a proposal. It has not become a law yet. And anybody can also come up with their own other proposals. I can come up with my own proposals tomorrow and compare them with the BBI. Nothing stops me from doing so because it has not become a law. So when you start misleading your fellow Luo kinsmen that whatever is being said is not in the BBI, and whatever is in the BBI does not mean it is the end of the world. No, it is not a law, Mr. Weda. Everybody will have an opportunity to audit it and to think through it and to put some input. And once we sit down, we'll come and say, well, this is what we want as Kenyans.
Right.
We may even throw it away, all of it, or embrace it as it is. So don't mislead people, telling them whatever you are saying is not in the BBI. We are not being told you have to swallow this. This is what we have brought, and you have to take it the way it is without any removing a comma or anything.
Honorable,
the good thing is here that Weda cannot mislead Kenyans. Kenyans are very intelligent. They can look at him making noise at the TV, but they cannot mislead. What is going to happen next is that all these views must be channeled through a mechanism.
That is it.
And you have heard people talking of committee of experts and all. They put this together, that all these views, how will so-and-so's view get in? That is what is important.
Yes.
Saweda said something. You know, all these 4 agenda, which the president talked about, you cannot implement them if the environment is not right. And we saw it after the election. So what this document is trying to do, we have done our part. And I'm very proud of Raila and Uhuru. We have done our part. These people are powerful people, but they have said, this is what we think. We started the process, but now let's go to the mashinani. You people also look at it and talk about it. So that when we have talked, then we will be like one family who has agreed on kitchen budget, kama ni mboga tukule, and we go in that direction. Now, what is not right here is people who are esteemed and appear at the shows, try to say, belittle the document, do whatever they want to do. There's nothing about Luos here, about Kikuyus here. This is about Kenya. If you have something to offer, come up and put it in.
Right. Well, while we're talking about that, there are some politicians who have dismissed the committee of experts that would probably be needed as just quacks. And we've heard them on TV saying so. And at the same time, there are some who feel like this, it going to the people is sort of a litmus paper for Raila Odinga's political, clout. What do you say to that?
You know, the pain of freedom of speech is that you can say anything without even backing up with anything. And you can describe somebody else without even subjecting it to some facts. But what it is, those who are dismissing, they had done it before. This is not the first time.
Even before it came out.
That is their storyline. They don't want anything that is disturbing the status quo because they are fronting for somebody whom they have prescribed that must be somebody, no matter what happens. So that is what is going on here. But it is not good leadership. And I said, it is embedded in emotion, immature emotion. And people can see how they are mesmerized by the whole thing, because they want to really guard the status quo. What
Perhaps
they should,
for their own personal...
Exactly. What they should know is that when you are making a constitutional change, please look beyond yourself. African says you can sharpen a knife, but eventually it might cut you. The constitution we want Kenyans to have now, especially when it comes to equitable distribution of resources and all this, is a power balance. Right now, as parliamentarians, we have it very difficult because the ruling party have the executive. The executive is very difficult to oversight. We can appropriate funds, yes, but we cannot tell them how to collect taxes, how to use it, and all that. So we want something that brings the person who is in charge of implementing the programs in the house.
Okay.
So that they can.
Yes. So please hold that. So we're going to